Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with your host Eric Arnold, presented by Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella Motors.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. I am your host, Eric Arnold, Knoxville Raceway track historian. Thank you for joining us tonight here on KBOE 104.9 in Oskaloosa, your station for racing. Coming up a little bit later in the program, our guest calling in will be Brook Tatnell. Brook is a 9-time World Series of Sprint Cars champion down under in Australia, and he's been a regular here at Knoxville the last couple of years now, driving the Vermeer number 55 sprint car. So we'll check in with Brook Tatnell here in a little while. This past Saturday night, the season opener being rained out, so we'll have to wait one more week for sprint car racing to begin their year here at Knoxville, and hopefully this next Saturday Mother Nature cooperates a little better with us. Everybody's anxious to get ready to go. We had about 40 sprint cars in the pit area, and then about 5:30 the rains came, and it looked like it wasn't going to let up for a few hours, so the decision was made to call it a night. We were able to get around the pits and talk to a few drivers, take some pictures. One thing that we learned was Dylan Peterson, the 360 Division Rookie of the Year last year from the Sioux Falls area. They have purchased some 410 engines and will be racing in the 410 class full-time this year. So Dylan Peterson moving up in division from 360s to 410s this year, so that's exciting for him. We also learned that Wayne Johnson, who we thought might be running at Knoxville most weeks in the 410 class, along with the National Sprint League that tours around the Midwest this year. Wayne electing to forego that and is going to be joining up with the ASCS Sprint Car Series, traveling around the country with that series the rest of the year. So we will lose Wayne full-time, but we should still see him a few times this year racing at Knoxville in both a 410 and a 360, it sounds like. So with no race results to talk about this week, let's just kind of recap what's happened so far leading up to this year, coming into Knoxville with the World of Outlaws Series and with the National Sprint League. The World of Outlaws started in Volusia, Florida Volusia Speedway in Barberville, Florida. Darren Pittman and Donnie Schatz picking up wins there. Brad Sweet winning the third and finale night there. So 3 different winners to start the year. Following that, they went out to the West Coast about 3 weeks later. Shane Stewart was your winner. Terry McCarl won a race there. And then Brian Brown and Tim Kading, 2 other Knoxville regulars, one in Tucson, Arizona, and down at Tulare, California. Following that, Rico Abreu won a couple of races. Donnie Schatz won some more races. Brad Sweet won another race. Paul McMahon got his first win this past Saturday night in Paris, California. Now that their West Coast swing is over, they start coming back towards the Midwest and back out east. They will be at the Devil's Bowl Speedway this coming Friday and Saturday. $20,000 to win race there on Saturday night at Devil's Bowl for the World of Outlaws. Darren Pittman winning that race last year. Sitting atop of the point standings for the World of Outlaws right now is Donnie Schatz. He has a 20-point lead over Shane Stewart, who is driving the Larson Marks sprint car number 2. Brad Sweet is 3rd. Kerry Madsen 4th. Joey Saldana 5th. Paul McMahon is 6th, getting his first win this past week. A couple of weeks ago, Darren Pittman and Jason Johnson were involved in a crash. Pittman with a broken collarbone was out for 2 races and came back this past weekend. Jason Johnson is going to be sitting out a few more weeks here, it sounds like, with some injuries to his back. And he has hired a former World of Outlaw champion, Jason Myers. He filled in for the last 2 weeks while Jason was hurt. And going forward, Australian Jamie Veal is coming over, and he will pilot that car the next several weeks until Jason is healthy. So a good opportunity for a guy like Jamie Veal, who's had some success here in the Midwest the last couple of summers, racing at Knoxville and some other tracks. So we'll see what he does out there for the next month or so, racing full-time against the best in the business. So through 18 races this year, Donnie Schatz has won 5 already. Last year he won a total of 26 features, so He's on pace to probably beat that record. He's going to be a tough guy to beat atop of the point standings. Shane Stewart and Brad Sweet, Kerry Madsen, those guys are hanging tough right now, within 100 points, so they're within striking distance, but to keep up with Mr. Shots. Looking at the National Sprint League, they had one race back on Saturday, April 11th at 34 Raceway in Burlington. Their opener there, Wayne Johnson picking up the win. It was a good race. Looked like Terry McCarl kind of had him covered. Got into some lap traffic, had some problems there, and then Wayne Johnson able to slip by Terry McCarl, finishing second. So with Wayne Johnson picking up that win, now deciding to race with the ASCS Tour the rest of the year. We will certainly miss having Wayne around here this summer, but hopefully we'll see him a few times. From there, the National Sprint League will race Friday, May 8th at Eagle Raceway in Eagle, Nebraska. Then come to Knoxville the following Saturday, May 9th. So May 8th, May 9th are their next two races. Anyone that can win both nights, there is a $20,000 bonus up for grabs there that the Durst Motorplex in Nebraska is putting up. So $20,000 to win both of those events. So that should be exciting that Saturday night at Knoxville to see if anyone can pull that off. From there, the National Sprint League will go to Illinois and Minnesota, South Dakota. Then we get them back at Knoxville Saturday, June 27th. Again, Saturday, July 4th. And then they come back Saturday, August 29th, which is season championship at Knoxville. We'll go to our first break. When we come back, we'll have Brook Tatnell on the line. Stay tuned. You're listening to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. This segment is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil Products produces a premium line of oils, greases, and problem-solving additives. Visit lucasoil.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Joining us on the phone now is Brook Tatnell. Brook is a native of Sans Souci, New South Wales, Australia. You've got 6 wins at Knoxville, and you're also the one-lap track record holder. And Brook, welcome to the show. And that one-lap track record's been holding up for 9 years now. Can you believe that?
Look, at the time, I wouldn't have said that it was going to stand for this long, and I'm still the first person to turn around and tell you that there is going to be a day that it'll go. And yeah, a lot of things have changed since then too. You know, it was one of those scenarios that it was a perfect night, and you know, we just made the at that time the most perfect, the near perfect lap. So look, it will be broken again. You know, one day we get a cold front come through, and we've got good air, and you know, cars are still getting faster. As much as we try to slow race cars down to make it a little hard to drive these things, we still seem to be able to make, crew chiefs still seem to be able to make these things go faster.
Yes, they sure do. This winter in Australia, winter for us that is, you won your record 9th championship with the World Series Sprint Cars of Australia. Just talk about what that series means to you. Obviously, you keep going back every year and performing very well.
Well, look, the biggest thing is I'm allergic to the white stuff they called snow. I don't like it. Looks pretty in Christmas cards, but that's about it. And you know, I live in Minnesota, and we get plenty of snow up here, so there's a good reason to go back each year. And you know, World Series it's the pinnacle of our sport in Australia. It's the equivalency of the World of Outlaws. It's a grueling series with how much racing we do, the 15 races, and crisscrossing across the country in a short space of time. You know, we've had guys. There's been plenty of Americans that have come and tried to win the championship, including Donnie Schatz and Joey Saldana and Jason Johnson. There's been plenty of Cole Hurst again this year. You know, there's been plenty of guys, Shane Stewart. There's guys that have all come to try and win that championship and haven't been able to be successful. The only American that's actually been successful at doing it was Darren Pittman. So, you know, that's something that we hold a lot of pride in. It's a series that was formed by competitors. There was 5 members of drivers, car owners, and administrators, and you know, it's something that has just grown and grown and grown. Like every series, it has its doubters every now and then, and goes through some troubled times with sponsorship and what have you. But look, it's going to be around for a long, long time to come, and it's a series that, as I say, it is one of the pinnacles and that you need to win if you want to sit back as a Australian racer or a competitive professional racer that goes to Australia that wants to tick off the bucket list.
Yeah, and I believe your father won a couple of championships in that series originally, didn't he?
Yeah, my dad was one of the original founders of the series, and he won the inaugural year and backed it up, and then came very close to getting the three-peat and in a series. And yeah, that's another thing why the series is so special to us, because of the family history of what that series is. So it's something that we definitely take pride in.
It's pretty amazing over the last 30, 40 years the how it's evolved and become a global sport, sprint car racing, with Australia, and now we have racing in the UK. And just talk a little bit about how did you start getting into sprint car racing, and what was kind of where did you start out racing at it as a youngster, and how you got to where you are now?
Look, I'm very fortunate. I was born and bred into racing. My dad was one of the best that has ever come out of Australia. He's far more talented than what I'll ever think about being. And where I say that is the aspect of the guys back in the 60s, 70s, without roll cages and without the technology that we have today. I don't think there's as good as Johnny Schatz is today. I don't think you can compare him to an AJ Foyt. Those guys did it in a different era of a different way. And Australia really was followed suit of California with the super modifieds and those cars coming out to Australia. And Gary Rush ended up with the Billy Anderson car that went to Australia, and that was the actual first sprint car that ever that came to Australia and changed the revolution of Australian sprint car racing with that car. And look, it's just something that has continued to grow. And back in the day, it was probably a lot cheaper for Australians to go to California. Back then it was probably a 22-hour flight to get to California. Now it's a 14-hour flight. So, as I said, most Australians' early days of speedway and sprint car technology all came out of California, and when you're looking at it, the Calistoga and places like that. So look, it's definitely evolved. Right now, when we used to bring out the Americans, it was definitely the Americans had such superior equipment, and as the American teams would leave, those Australian teams would snatch up the equipment, whether it be the Edmonds midgets of the 70s with AJ Foyt, Johnny Rutherford, and guys like them coming out, to the 80s with Bob Trossel's super team of when he brought 4 cars out and had Wolfgang, Steve Kinzer, Larry Burton, and guys like that, and even Jack Honchild came out back in those days. So a lot of that equipment ended up there, and it's nowadays with the Australian dollar fluctuating, one year it's good, one year it's bad. The equipment right now is, you can sit there and have a race car sitting on the floor. You wouldn't know whether you're in Australia or America these days.
So, what was the first year you came to the States and started racing over here?
First year I came over was 1991. Came over here with my dad and came to see if we could grow as a race car driver. And young kid, eyes wide open and thinking, we've done okay in Australia, let's try our hand in America. And it's just been an exciting road ever since. It had the goods and the bad. It started as a process of coming over here for 3 months, and then that actually then turned around and grew to a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And over the years we've driven some very good car owners, and that evolved into getting a World of Outlaws ride, and then it was 8 months in America, 4 months in Australia, to the point now where we basically live here and just go back to Australia for the 3 months now.
And you've had a lot of success over here in the States. I think you've won 6 races at Knoxville. You've won 11 World of Outlaw races. Talk what that meant to you. I think you won your first race in Kansas in 2003 with the World of Outlaws. Just what was the sense of accomplishment at that time in your career?
Oh, look, I'm a very loyal person, and that first Outlaw win probably means more to me, that one win, than if you want to look at any of the other prelims who've won and all the other races for one certain reason. And I drove for a very good car owner in Cork Grangstow, and him and his wife Sarah, they funded their race team with the Phillips 66 team, and we weren't a big operation by no standard, and we basically had 2 complete cars and 2 motors, and one car was pulled apart and put in the trailer as a spare, and we've been called the Ma and Pa operation, but we had one thing didn't have a lot of it, but it was very nice equipment that we had, and to go down to Jetmore and come off a decent nationals, and I had my dad there, and to what most people don't understand and realise is that a big reason why Brook Tatnell still stayed and fought hard to keep racing in America is because the guy that helped me along the way, and that guy was Sammy Swindell. And look, I wouldn't be where I am today without the guidance and influence Sammy's given us over the years. And I'm another guy that I've had my run-ins with Sammy as well, and but it's a guy that I totally respect and admire, and I appreciate all the help that he's given me. And to pass him on the last corner to take my first Outlaw victory, I don't think you could have scripted it any better.
I haven't heard that story. That's pretty cool. Of course, you've gone on to win races in the All-Stars and the IRA, the NCRA. You've had a pretty good career. Now here we are in 2015. You're racing full-time at Knoxville and with the National Sprint League with the 55 team, which is owned by Tony Vermeer, and as Barry Lewis is also a partner on that team, correct?
Yeah. Tony and Barry have teamed up, and Barry through his company, Straight White Towing, and Vivian Lewis, and with Tony and TK Concrete being on board. Look, it's a scenario that, again, I drive for good car owners that try to give us the best equipment we have. Again, we're not a massive operation, and we're always trying to find a bit more budget and bigger budget so we can race more and make it a little bit easier and try to keep growing our race team.
Kind of looking forward to this year, I guess, what are your guys' goals realistically with as tough a field as we have at Knoxville and on the NSL Tour?
Realistic goals. I expect to win, being a shot at winning the championship with the NSL and also with Knoxville. I mean, I don't do this just because I love it. I do love this sport, and I love it. I don't think you'll find too many guys that love it more than what I do, and I'm willing to sacrifice a hell of a lot to go racing. But realistic terms, we're there to win. If there's too much hard work, there's too much dedication, and there's far too much money to be spent within this sport to be competitive, not to be there chasing dreams. And dreams are. Look, I know within the right organisation, the right race team, having a right crew chief, and having a budget behind us, I still feel we can go and compete for a World of Outlaws championship. And this is all a complete stepping stone to keep building our race team to get to that point. Have the correct crew in place and budget that it can take some pressure off us, and we can go and race and 100% concentrate on racing, not trying to spread ourselves so thin, trying to put budgets in place and trying to make everything happen. But no, look, our realistic goals is we're aiming to win championships, we're aiming to win races.
Hey man, I'm fired up just listening to you talk about that. So, well, you got a lot of partners on the team. I'm sure you got some sponsors you would like to thank.
Yeah, look, we're very fortunate this year. We've got Woodco Pre-Finishing out of Blaine, Minnesota, has come on board. They're race fans. It's a group of brothers that enjoy their racing and support the racing, and they've decided to come on board this year as a sponsor, and joining some of our previous sponsors with Australia-wide Towing and Rail Possessions Australia. We've been fortunate enough to be able to bring some backing back over here from Australia to make it all happen. And we can't do it without all our product sponsors and without Tony and Barry's support.
Well, Brooke, thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Appreciate it, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
No, I appreciate it. We'll be seeing you around at the races.
All right, thanks, Brooke.
That was Brook Tatnell joining us from Sans Souci, New South Wales, Australia. He calls Minnesota home this time of the year. Again, he's won 6 races at the Knoxville Raceway, a couple of World Challenge events, a World of Outlaw feature in 2010 at the track. He finished 10th in points last year at Knoxville, but they are definitely looking to improve upon that. Really fired up to hear that they're very optimistic to go out and win some races and compete for the championship this year at Knoxville and with the National Sprint League. Brooke is also a 3-time champion of the Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic, which is kind of the equivalent of the Knoxville Nationals in Australia, their biggest event of the year. So Brooke, very accomplished driver, still has a lot that he wants to accomplish. We'll be right back to wrap up the show. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. This segment is brought to you by Pella Motors. They beat big city deals. Visit PellaMotors.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Coming up this Saturday night, the delayed 62nd season opener, Pella Motors Night and Race for Your School Night. Kids 19 and under, free admission. Casey's General Stores receipts of $50 or more paid for this week. We'll get you 2 tickets for $20 for adults. So savings of $10 there, so a good opportunity to save some money. Seniors ages 60 and up, you get a $3 discount. Pella Corp, Nationwide Insurance Farm Bureau members, a $5 discount as well at the window. Some events coming up on the calendar later this year. The National Sprint League will be at the Knoxville Raceway May 9th, June 27th, July 4th, and August 29th. Coming up on June 13th, we'll have the World of Outlaws MediaCom Shootout. The Marion County Fair coming up in July. We have a concert with country music star Tyler Farr. We will have dirt carts on July 12th, and July 16th is the IMCA Modified Harris Clash. Then coming up in August, everything builds up to the Nationals. Holy Week there, August 6th to the 8th, the Arnold Motor Supply 360 Nationals, presented by Great Southern Bank. Sunday, August 9th, at the 4th Annual Capitani Classic. Monday, August 10th, at the Southern Iowa Speedway is the 20th Annual Front Row Challenge. That'll pay $20,000 to the winner. Then coming up August 12th through the 15th, the 55th Annual FVP Knoxville Nationals, presented by Casey's. In September, we will have Monster Jam and the Late Model Nationals. Tickets available for all of those races. You can find out more information and order tickets at KnoxvilleRaceway.com. Be sure to listen to the Checkered Flag program here on KBOE Tuesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. with your host, Jeff Kropp. Always interesting news coming from the Southern Iowa Speedway and the local IMCA racing here. Don't forget about the Dirt Dreams TV show. It airs on Thursdays on MAV TV. New episodes will be coming in June once we get some races here to actually record and have on video and everything. So coming up a little bit later in mid-June, we should have episodes airing of the new Dirt Dreams TV show second season. Thank you for listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line tonight. Thank you to our guest, Brook Tatnell, for joining us. Great to catch up with him and learn a little bit about his career coming from Australia over here to the States. You can follow the Knoxville Raceway on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Vine. We have our mobile app, so download that onto your iPhones and Android phones. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you at the races Saturday night at the Knoxville Raceway. Thanks, and have a great night. Thank you for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. The Knoxville Podcast is made possible by our partners Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella